to kindly begin with our school song.
O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee feel one with every other.
Thank you, Deepthi. And now I request you to kindly introduce our esteemed speaker.
Our esteemed speaker for today is Mr. Braj Kishor Gupta. Braj Kishor Gupta is the founder and chief mentor at Giant Step and is renowned for transforming lives through his workshops and keynote speeches, shaping leaders from diverse backgrounds. With a background in education, corporate training, and journalism, he has impacted numerous educational institutions and corporations worldwide. Gupta is also an author known for his book COVID-19, Pause, Uncommon Tales of Common Folk, and his latest work, Take Your Giant Step Now, is hailed as a modern classic on motivation and self-development. He has received prestigious awards for his contributions and is a sought-after mentor and motivational speaker featured in various media outlets nationally and internationally. We wish to welcome once more Mr. Braj Kishor Gupta.
Thank you. And it's over to you, Mr. Gupta. We look forward to this session of yours. Thank you.
My greetings to all of you. And at the outset, I express my profound sense of gratitude for giving me this honor. I'm grateful to School of Ancient Wisdom for giving me this privilege to be interacting with a group of people who appear to be wisdom seekers, but they are personified with wisdom. And that is one of the takeaways for me, to be connecting with a group that has hands-on experience. You tend to learn more than you teach and share. So with this objective in mind, let me try to share my perspectives on the topic, and that is mistakes to miracles. I would like today's session to be more as an opportunity for all of us to be developing some insights. We should be able to understand by asking certain questions. Say, for instance, our topic this evening is mistakes to miracles. So at the outset, we should understand the concept or the term mistake. What is this mistake all about? Is mistake desirable? Is mistake a necessity? Or what is it? How do we understand a mistake? Because our society, for whatever reasons, is not in the habit of glorifying or celebrating or even approving of mistakes. And that's a matter of concern. We treat mistake as an outcast. Why is mistake considered to be an untouchable? That's the question that disturbs me. That's the question that upsets me. So let's understand, what is mistake after all? Mistake, in fact, is a matter of perception. What did I say? Mistake is a matter of perception. That is to say, something that is called a mistake may not necessarily be a mistake in all situations and circumstances. Because mistake happens when we fail to conform to certain norms. Say, for example, when we walk on the road, the rules tell us that we need to keep to the left. If anyone fails to do so, will be making a mistake. Or this also amounts to breaking certain laws. This could be a matter of concern. But when we talk about mistakes, they primarily refer to certain efforts which are made by individuals. Mistakes won't happen in the absence of efforts. So what is positive about mistakes is efforts do necessarily precede mistakes. If you decide or if you choose not to do anything, will there be a situation where you will make mistakes? Now, against this background, I want to ask you, my friends, do we ever appreciate this fact? Or we look only for an opportunity to point out or to circle, that too in red ink, where we fail, or where even children fail, or where an employee fails? That's the reason that mistake does not encourage anyone, does not motivate anyone. So the fundamental question that I want to ask at the outset is making a mistake good or bad? I know you all will say, no, it is bad. That is the first thing we should understand, that making mistake is not bad at all. It is inevitable for we human beings to make mistakes, my friend, irrespective of the attitude, irrespective of the perception that society has towards it. There are certain things that need to be reset. There are certain things that we need to review. There are certain things that we need to revisit, my friends. Unless and until there are mistakes, there are no chances or opportunities for betterment. And if you see from a spiritual perspective, a spiritual point of view, then you would agree with me, and that is galtiyon se juda. That is in Hindi, we say mistake is galti. Galtiyon se juda tu bhi nahi, मैं भी नहीं. गलतियों से जुदा तू भी नहीं, मैं भी नहीं. दोनों इंसान हैं, दोनों इंसान हैं. खुदा मैं भी नहीं, तू भी नहीं. That is to say, to err is human. To err is human. It is part and parcel of human nature to be making mistakes, my friend. But still, why do we feel so upset when we find someone making mistakes? Why do we fail to acknowledge the fact that mistakes happen only in the process of achieving something or in the process of accomplishing something? Why does that happen? That's the fundamental question we need to be asking, my friends. To my mind, we do so because we are obsessed with success. We are obsessed with doing things in a manner which is nothing sort of perfect. In other words, we as a society are growing perfectionists. Now you will ask me, sir, don't we live in a society which is a professional society? And what is the wrong and what is the harm if we want someone to be a perfectionist? What is the harm? After all, when we talk about a professional is one who is flawless. A professional is one who is accurate. The answer sounds very logical, but my friends, we should understand also today's finding, today's research, which clearly states that learning is a process. Learning happens only when a learner or a person can have a cognitive readiness. learning is a matter of showing or having a cognitive readiness. And once we as learners show the cognitive readiness, we are bound to make efforts towards achieving something, and in the process, mistakes are bound to happen. Now, this talk is primarily focused on two aspects. One is the mistake, but more interesting part of today's talk is miracles. Are all mistakes having the potential to be converted into miracles? That's question number one. And question number two, my friends, is how? How can we convert mistakes into miracles? So the first thing, I am of the view that miracles can happen only when you make mistakes. So to my mind, making mistake is desirable. If you have a look at the youngsters these days, they are obsessed with success. They're obsessed with success, so much so that in case of a failure towards achieving a desired result, they feel constrained to take the extreme step as well. There is a direct link between the extreme step many youngsters take in our country or elsewhere because of the so-called failure, which is related again to a mistake. You can understand this better when you see how a place like Kota is a place from where we had the ISTD president recently. She stays there. Kota is in news for grooming many youngsters as future doctors and engineers. That's certainly the positive side. But Kota, unfortunately, also comes in news for witnessing very many cases of suicides. Suicide, my friends, is in fact the permanent solution for a temporary problem. It's a permanent solution for a temporary problem. And you will all agree with me that nothing could be more unfortunate, more tragic than a beautiful life being lost. When a beautiful life is lost in the form of a suicide, there has to be some accountability, my friends. We can always hold many variables, many factors as the reasons leading to suicide. One of the major reasons, to my mind, is the kind of guilt consciousness and the guilt feeling that the person may have because of the mistake or because of the so-called failure. And this is sadly the gift of a society. The kind of ambience, the kind of ecosystem that has been created in our society, that we know only to highlight, only to glorify success, achievement, progress, development. All that, my friends, is definitely desirable. Movement is life, growth is life, but growth cannot come without shortcomings, without issues here and there. And we are so obsessed with growth, we are so obsessed with success, especially the parents in particular, that they do not even think in terms of the emotions, in terms of the trauma that our children may be facing. That's one reason that the topic mistakes to miracle is very close to my heart. I feel that many of the ills of our society can be addressed if we revisit the value system called success. When we revisit the value called success, we have unfortunately exaggerated the concept called success. Success, achievement can never ever happen in isolation. It cannot. Our scriptures say, Ananda Dharmkam Vastu. Every substance has very many attributes. And therefore, we cannot have a linear view, linear approach towards success or achievement. We need to also take into account certain steps which are warranted, which are desirable towards achieving that. Especially when our society is facing issues like stress, when our society is facing issues like lack of self-confidence, lack of self-belief, we are forgetting that you and I are not just a drop in the ocean. You and I are not just a drop in the ocean. We are the ocean in a drop. It's very important. It's very, very important for us to rediscover ourselves. It is very, very important for us to reinvent ourselves. We are perhaps forgetting our true nature. Our scriptures say, Tattvam asi, that thou art. You are the spark of divine. But we are getting carried away by things which are too material, So it's very important if we want to move or if we want to migrate from mistakes to miracles. In that case, we have to begin by having a clarity about our goal, about the purpose. One of my colleagues, Professor Subhash Sharma, came out with a concept called HOPE, and that is higher order purpose of existence. It is very, very important for us to have a purpose, to have a goal, to have an objective which is large enough. When we have a goal which is large enough, we will be in a position to accept things as they are. We will not be too upset because it is okay. It is okay if something is not okay in life. That is why we need to revisit, we need to reinterpret, we need to redefine the very concept of mistake. Mistake is not a sin. Mistake is desirable. Once we are able to set a goal or set our target in the light of HOPE, that is higher order purpose of existence, then we will be in a position to understand the value of human life. After all, it is not just a chance that you and I have come on the planet. Your arrival, my arrival is preordained. We all have come here on purpose, on an objective which is larger than life. And therefore, as and when there is an omission or commission or an error, that must not upset us. So much so that we lose sight of the larger picture, larger goal of life. it has rightly been said, Bade bhagya manuj tan pawa, Bade bhagya manuj tan pawa, Sur durlabh sab granth gawa. That is to say, it is a great, great fortune, my friends, to be born as a human being. It's a great, great fortune to be born as a human being. So much so that even Rishi, Muni, even God, they aspire to be incarnated or to be sent on earth in the form of human beings. We need to understand, we need to appreciate the value, the significance of a life. Once we are able to understand our importance, our value, in that case, a small thing will not disturb us, will not perturb us, and we will perhaps be in a better position to appreciate spiritual leaders like Swami Vivekananda when he said, let not the bark of puppies frighten you. Let not the bark of puppies frighten you, not even the thunderbolt of heaven. That is to say, that we start associating ourselves with He, with a power, with a force which is large enough. In that case, our consciousness will expand. Individual consciousness will merge with the universal consciousness. In other words, if we get associated with a power, say like the sun, S-U-N, sun, will we ever be found wanting in energy? The answer has to be a big no. We will not be found wanting in. You'll all agree with me that once there was a discovery of fire that revolutionized the whole world. It was only after human beings could discover fire, there was so much of development all around. Today, I feel the time has come when we have to rediscover fire. We have to rediscover fire, my friends. But in the past, the fire was discovered outside, and this time the fire must be discovered inside. That must be the first step that can turn or convert every mistake into a miracle. It must begin with self-awareness or a heightened sense of purpose. That's the first step, my friend. And all this can happen. A self-awareness is a must. A great Hindi poet, Sumitranandan Pant, once said, Sundar hai vihag. Sundar hai vihag, suman sundar, manav tum sabse sundartam. Vihag is a bird. So the poet says, what a beautiful bird. The bird is so beautiful. And Suman is flower. And then Sumitranandan Pant says, flower is also beautiful. But the poet says, you as a human being, you are the best creature. And that has been proved by friends, times without number. But today, we humans are not the most superior creature. We are not today the most rational creature, sadly. Today, we are just capable of rationality. We are no more thinking beings today. We are just capable of thinking. That is to say, we need to rekindle ourselves. We need to get awakened. How will that happen? That will happen when we understand the importance of insights versus sights. The eyes that are given to us are for sights. No, we see. But only when we can have insights, we can bring about a change, and we can convert all our mistakes into miracles. Now, you will ask me the question, how can we convert our mistakes into miracles? You did talk about a couple of things like inner awakening or self-awareness or hope, higher order purpose of existence, understanding the value of human being. What else? So I will give you one word, and that is CALM, calm. It is very, very important, as in when you are confronted with a mistake, when you make a mistake in life or in your endeavors, remember the word calm. And the first letter of calm is C. C stands for change. Change. Change is the unchangeable law of nature. We all know. Especially today is the age of obsolescence, meaning that by everything is becoming obsolete. The corporate trainers will tell you that how rapid is the pace of change. So we need to be changing as per the needs, as per the demand of the time. We need to be modifying ourselves. Now, I have a question, and that is there something that should not change? Is there something that should not change? This is my latest book, Take Your Giant Step Now. And one of the chapters in this book has a very interesting title. I was just reminded of that while talking to you. And the title is Changeless Change. The title is Changeless Change. So in that story, I have underlined one thing, that there are things that need not change. And what is that? Because we all go on telling change is permanent, change is essential. All that is correct. There are certain values. There are certain values which are not to change. Say, for example, the unconditional love of a mother for children. Should that change? Should that change? Should our integrity for our society, for our nation change? Not at all. So, while talking about C, change, it is equally important for me to draw your attention to this part which I have underlined in my book, Take Your Giant Step Now. C is followed by another letter, A. A is all about acceptance. There are things you and I cannot change. There are things over which you and I have little control. In that case, it is important that we accept things that you and I cannot change. We should accept. Say, for example, if you say, why am I only 5'3" in my height? Why is my skin so fair? Why do I have dark complexion? Now, there are things over which you and I had little control. So, what do? We accept it. You have been trained by a corporate trainer, and the corporate trainer tells you, look, your accent has the pull of mother tongue. So now you are feeling guilty, you are growing nervous in presentations. trying hard and very hard, and yet you are not able to overcome that issue pertaining to your accent. That's the time when you should remember my word, accept what you cannot. Simple. We had a President Pranab Mukherjee, Dr. Sri Pranab Mukherjee. He was our president. And every time he spoke in English, one could know that he was a Bengali. So what? All this doesn't matter, my friend. So accept what you cannot. You need not be feeling guilty. And then many psychologists, many practitioners will tell you the importance of L, and that is let go. Sometimes you need to allow yourself in a situation where you don't act. It is true that we need to be up and about, but at times you feel clueless. That is also the time for you to pause. That's perhaps the time when you should remember what Lord Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita in the 18th chapter. Sarva dharmanya paritajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshishami ma shucha. Meaning thereby, Lord Krishna tells you, whosoever you are, come unto me and I will redeem you. So we need to pause in our life. Always being active is not the solution. Anything which affects your mental equilibrium or mental wellness is perhaps not the most desirable kind of thing. And M is all about managing. You and I do that from dawn to dusk. We all had to be here today by 6:30, and we are here. Simple. Many a time, mistakes happen because we fail to manage. We fail to prioritize things in life. Things are important, but what is most important? So if we can follow these steps, I'm sure we can definitely have a different view, different perspective, different understanding of what we call a mistake. Every mistake, to my mind, is waiting to be converted into a miracle, provided we keep calm, provided we follow calm principle, provided we show faith in ourselves. Today, the whole of India is talking about Ram after we got the inauguration of Ram Temple at Ayodhya. Do you know the meaning of RAM? Ram is all about real awakening of mind. Real awakening of mind, my friend. If we can work towards awakening our mind, that would do wonders, my friends. That is what is needed in today's trouble-torn world, when we do not have peace of mind, when we are always in stress or distress. So these are some of my thoughts and my views. And I will be too happy to be interacting with you all and to be answering your questions. I can go on, but then true joy lies in understanding your perspectives. You should be given more time to be asking me questions, to seeking clarification, to be agreeing with me, to be disagreeing with me. I feel that must be the objective of a session like this, where communication has to be a two-way traffic. What do you say? Let me conclude my thoughts with the words of Sri Atal Bihari Vajpayee. He used to say, "Kya haar mein, kya jeet mein." Haar is defeat and jeet is victory. Kya haar mein, kya jeet mein, किंचित नहीं भयभीत मैं, कर्तव्य पथ पर जो भी मिला यह भी सही वह भी सही, वरदान नहीं मांगूंगा, हो कुछ पर हार नहीं मानूंगा. That is to highlight the importance of the will part. You don't give up. You always have the belief that you are destined to achieve, you are destined to success, and what you are not willing to surrender to is the effort. And after all, we all are the co-creators of our life. We are the co-creators of a life. We can always co-create our life. We can always co-create our destiny. That's the beauty of being an Indian. That's the beauty of being in India, which gives you ample opportunities to understand your life, to interpret your life the way you wish to. And what could be more motivating, more enlightening than the words of the Rig Veda, and that says, Atmano mokshartam, Atmano mokshartam jagat hitai cho. Atmano mokshartam jagat hitai cho, meaning thereby the salvation of society along with your salvation must be the guiding principle of your life. If you have such a sublime goal and objective in your life, my friends, I'm sure you will always be confident enough to convert every mistake that happens in our life, and we will be able to convert that mistake into a miracle. So with these words, I would like to invite questions, suggestions, views, and perspectives. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta, for that interesting talk. And as you said, we will now open it up for questions, suggestions, whatever people have in mind. So anyone who has any questions, comments, kindly unmute yourself and ask the speaker. Go ahead. Anything? Remember, it's how we can make mistakes and go on to create miracles. So if anyone wants to share their story, if anyone wants to make a comment on that statement itself, go ahead.
I have a statement, Sajani.
Go ahead, Kashmira.
The statement is that I'm not talking about small towns in India or anything. I'm talking about the big cities where we are aspiring that our kids get better and better. I think today in India, we are putting a lot of stress, unnecessary stress on our kids because we want that perfection and we're not ready to accept failures, which he calls mistakes and I call failures. A failure in school is so shameful today. And that's a tragedy, I think, that we as parents are forcing our kids into getting 99%, unheard of when we were in school.
True.
We were considered brilliant if you got 60%, if you remember.
You're right, Kashmira. Okay. Would you like to say something, Mr. Gupta?
Yes, definitely. I couldn't agree more with her. The only thing during our time, we knew only about intelligence, and the range of intelligence is between 90 to 145. Today, we have multiple intelligence. So parents must be taught. I'm highlighting the term. Parents need to be made aware of multiple intelligence, number one. Number two, the focus must shift today from IQ to PQ, EQ, HQ, SQ. That's all I have to say. EQ, emotional quotient, SQ, spiritual quotient, HQ, happiness quotient, and all that. So the focus must shift. It is incumbent on the parents to be educated. I'm one of those trainers who love to conduct training program for the teachers and parents, because I feel that training is required for the parents and the teachers more than the students. Because students have the tabula rasa. Tabula rasa is a clean slate. If it is a clean slate, it is easy to write anything there. But it is so difficult to write anything which is already full. That's it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anyone else? Ramesh,
Yes, Sajani.
go ahead.
Um, Thank you, Ji, for your talk so far. It is interesting. I have the observation I've made, especially from what you said, was that if you look at failure and the way people relate to failure, you have given a very nice, interesting twist, Gupta Ji. You said that failure is it can be changed to mistakes can be changed to miracle. So mistakes are something that while we always say that you rise above it, but how generally people relate to you, especially when you fail or make big mistakes that are against societal norms, is that it depends on what the category the mistakes are. But currently, I think it's an outcome of this industrial revolution-based education, which rewards winners and which, in a indirect manner, forgets or even punishes people who do not succeed. So, would you say this is an outcome of a lack of all-rounded education, especially as you mentioned that many adults need to be educated, that maybe our education system needs a revamp where schools reintroduce dharma, and in the process, it also reaches the parents, not only the children. What is your perspective on this?
Very, very, very interesting question. I do agree with you that education has a role to play. I agree. But now, most of the teachers are not even aware of their roles. Recently, I conducted a program for the teachers of one international school, and I told them that your role is that of a midwife. And we had so many ladies there, 90% plus. So they were disturbed and confused. They wanted a clarification. What do you mean? How do you equate us with midwife? Now, education must understand. Education is there to facilitate, right? It is not to bring something new. Swami Vivekananda in his book, Education says, education means it is just we don't bring anything from outside. So this is one concept. We have two streams of philosophy actually. One is rationalism and the other one is empiricism. Both are diametrically opposed. So with regard to your question, I will just say two things. One, education has a role to play, number one. Number two, parents should be more proactive. Ultimately, it is the parents. It is the parents who need to stand by their children. Let me give you one example. Let me give you one example. It is a bit personal, but it serves the purpose here. My son is in Christ University now. He passed his +2 from a very reputed school. But 2 months before the exam, I got a call from the principal. Mr. Gupta, you come here. I said, yes, ma'am, tell me. Your child is not likely to pass in maths, is not likely to pass in physics, not in chemistry. So these were the only 3 subjects. Now, last 2 months before the exam, then I asked the lady, ma'am, please tell me what was the school doing for so many years? No, the fault is that of your son. I said, okay, it's his fault. I accept it. Fault has to be that of the student. Fair enough. Now, what is that you are going to do? The principal said, no, I can't do anything now. Because I know you personally, so now you have to take care of him. Now, it was a very difficult situation. The child was intelligent enough. With great difficulty, I managed to get 3 teachers for one subject, math, physics, chemistry. And he passed out with close to 65 to 70%. 65 to 70%. And I was very happy because he was not to pass at all. Now, the interesting thing, I didn't want him to go for engineering. I told him, you choose your field, and didn't force him. He tried for Christ University entrance test. Fortunately, Christ University takes a student on the basis of performance and all that. And now he's doing his graduation in media, communication, and psychology. He's among the top 3 students of the class. Out of 120, he is among the top 3. It is just one example. The child is the same. The child is the same, and now he's among the top 3. Had I judged him, had I compared him, had I grown emotional with the feedback, you can imagine the fate of the child. And today it's a very serious issue. Our parents need to be made aware of what the school says, what the management says is their karma. You cannot force them, but you can work on your karma. The way you respond is your choice. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Gupta ji. In fact,
Thank you.
many parents, it's quite clear that they are operating from a space of fear, and where all the modern, lifestyles, they are based on the survivor or the winner takes it all. So, because of the fear, they will goad their child on blindly. Instead of, as you mentioned, what you did, you paused and you introspected, and instead of reacting, you responded, in an intelligent manner, and your child came out on the top and blossomed. So I think probably the message really lies in that parents, if they were coached to really connect with their own higher selves, then the fear factor would naturally come down, and automatically the guidance will be a lot more dharmic.
Thank you. Any more questions, suggestions, comments?
I expect more questions. I was told that the group consists of many enlightened people. So, I expect many more questions, not any question, many.
Okay. Any more questions, anyone? Mr. Janaki Ram?
I don't have a question, but I have a statement.
Go ahead,
so-
Kashmira.
People run down the Western system of education, but having lived there and been there, they don't push their kids as much as we do, And yet a person like Steve Jobs, I love his convocation speech, where from birth he had problems. He went to college, but didn't take classes, went to calligraphy and just sat in the calligraphy class and watched what was done. And later on, he used it for his computers and became one of the top people. Doesn't have a college degree. I wish we would emulate that in our schools, That's all.
I appreciate the viewpoint, but I feel Indian culture, Indian tradition has a very holistic view. Swami Vivekananda was very fond of saying, what India wants are Western sciences coupled with Vedanta. So I feel we need a beautiful blend of the two cultures. Two systems.
Thank you. Right, anyone else? Anyone else would like to ask a question? Please unmute yourself and do so. Nothing. All right, as they aren't saying anything, I would like you to tell us a bit about this book you have written right now.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. Thank you. In fact, the title, as you can see, is Take Your Giant Step Now.
Yes.
Take your giant step now I am of the view that ideas, planning, blueprint, all that is important. But what is more important is when you decide to act. ACT, action changes things. Action changes things. Hence the title, Take Your Giant Step Now. That is to say that you have to be ready to take a tough step in life. If you want some change to take place in your life, in the life of your loved ones, change in society. So that's about the title. Basically, the book is a collection of 48 stories or articles. Now, if you see the book's classification, I have divided into 4 parts. 4 parts, and each part has 12 articles. But the title of each part is quite interesting. The first one is Life Flow. Life Flow. The second one is Success Mantra. Life Flow, Success Mantra. Third one is Beyond Self. And fourth is Future Ready. If you see in India, in our Vedic system, we had 4 parts in which human life was divided. So on that, keeping that in mind, I also divided these articles into 4 parts for catering to the needs of 4 different target groups. That's one. Number 2, what is the content of these? Every story can gladden anybody, can motivate anybody, because here I have brought one story or the other based on my interaction in life, which has inspired me, which changed me to think differently. So every story, we have total 48, 12 each. Every story has to do with some incident. 2 of them deal with suicide, like this. So I have written this giving a lot of time, thoughts, so as to ensure that the book makes a difference in the life of people. Every story can inspire people. If anyone is feeling crestfallen, is feeling depressed, is feeling stressed, I think this story, this book can be of help and can be of some value. I being the author, it is now highly unbecoming of me to praise. There are many people who have praised the book. We have got appreciation from people across the world. But I'm happy about one thing, that I thought of creating some legacy. Because I often say people come, people go, and very few people come not to go from here. How do we do that? When we are able to create some legacy. So keeping that in mind, I thought of writing this book, and it's doing good. It's doing good. It helps people to think about various issues slightly differently. And that was the purpose, and that is the objective of this book, that it should make you think. Not necessarily accept my thinking. No, not at all. We are all product of rich cultural heritage. We have inherited many things. So everything that I say may not necessarily be mine, right? I am part of a rich cultural heritage. That is the beauty of being in India. Irrespective of petty considerations of region, caste, class, gender, we have access to rich cultural heritage that make us wonderful human beings if we can implement, if we can be sensitive to those beautiful concepts and ideas. And Swami Vivekananda was right when he said, the national culture of India, are renunciation and service, intensify her in these channels, and the rest will take care of itself. I hope I shared something about this book, that is Take Your Giant Step Now.
Thank you so much. And I think everybody else should take the giant step of buying your book and reading it. Any other questions? Anyone else? Kindly unmute yourself and ask your question. No? Okay. I don't think there are any questions or comments or suggestions to come.
And in case anybody needs the book, can directly approach me through you. You can share my number, because if they buy it online, they will have to pay a lot. So here I will give a very special discount by virtue of being a part of the discussion, Why should they spend 200 extra, Right.
Thank you so much. Kindly, in the chat, you can put your number so that
Yes.
anyone wants, they may contact you directly.
That's right. That's
Yeah?
right. That's
Okay, so
that's right.
good.
And I also, yes, I'll put it here itself.
Yes, you can put
Okay.
it on the chat over here.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Anything else? Okay.
I have shared my number here, I think.
Yes, I can see it on the chat, so it's there.
Right.
Everyone can take it and you may contact Mr.
Yes,
Gupta for either the book or anything you want.
It
Yes,
doesn't,
yes,
it
yes,
doesn't
please.
look like there's a mistake in your number, I think. It's not 10
Yes,
10 digits.
yes, you are right. Thank you. There is a mistake. We were talking of mistake, and there is a mistake, you see.
Yes.
I appreciate. Brajgupta.com is correct. Once again, I'll write. Yes, one number is missing.
Okay, and while we're waiting, I'd like everyone to know that every Thursday at 6:30, we have a different speaker. This was started by our founder, Manize Seth. She called it the Spiral of Wisdom. And so if any of you would like to talk, or if you know any speakers, kindly get in touch with Swati. Every Thursday at 6:30, we have a talk. And it's been going on for a long, long time as the founder started this. Any other questions? No, I don't think there are any questions. So with that, we come to the end of our program. Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta, for being with us, for your talk, and for answering all our questions. I now request Mr. Ramesh to kindly propose a vote of thanks. Ramesh? Yes.
Just give me a moment. So, Sajani, there's a bit of disturbance. I'll just turn off this. Right. So, Braj Kishor Gupta ji, thank you so much for your talk today. I think you opened our minds to a very essential aspect of personal and spiritual growth, and that is that we make the best of what comes our way, because what comes our way is divinely ordained by our past actions, a prarabdha karma. And as human beings, and Earth being the planet of free will, as human beings, we have the choice to make the best of what happens to us and to aim for where we wish to be, ultimately reaching self-realization. So thank you so much for opening our eyes once again to this is very important. A reminder like this is very important for us, that we can turn our mistakes into miracles, and we should. I think we all should tune ourselves in such a way that once we commit a mistake, we see it as a stepping stone to success. So thank you for opening our eyes for that.
Thank you,
Towards that.
Ramesh.
Yes.
And thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you very much, Mr. Gupta. And we look forward to seeing you once again. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you very much for giving me the privilege.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Goodbye, everyone, and all the best.